Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Sandy Smith, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Warrant Officer Class 1 Kim Owen. We warmly welcome the family of Private Victor John Backhouse, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you are able, I now invite you to please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is got by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Visitors who are able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament. Flowers of the forest, wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Victor John Backhouse. Victor Backhouse was born on the 27th of April 1896 in Braidwood, New South Wales. He was one of 9 children born to John Backhouse, a farmer, and his wife Maud. Victor attended Nullaghan Public School before working as a labourer. When the First World War broke out in 1914, he was working as a sawmill hand. Victor Backhouse enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 9th of August 1915. He was assigned to the 14th Reinforcements of the 13th Battalion with the rank of private. After some training, he embarked for active service, sailing from Sydney on the 16th of February 1916 on the troop ship Ballarat. In Egypt, he joined new recruits as well as veterans from the recently abandoned Gallipoli campaign. He was transferred to the newly formed 54th Battalion during a period of expansion in the AIF. He trained with them until the 19th of June, when he embarked for the Western Front. From Marseille, they were sent north to the French and Belgian border, once a site of bitter fighting. Now comparatively quiet, this area became known as the nursery sector, when new troops were introduced to life in the trenches. After spending only a few days in the front lines, Backhouse's unit was called into action near the village of Fromelles. Here, he would take part in his first and last major action of the war. The battle was intended as a feint to prevent German reserves from moving south to take part in the Battle of the Somme. Ordered to attack strongly fortified enemy positions near the Erbert Ridge, the Allied advance was preceded by a 7-hour bombardment. It was intended to destroy the German front line. When the battle began in broad daylight, advancing units quickly realised that not only had the artillery been almost useless, but it had served to warn the enemy of an attack. As they jumped the parapet, Allied troops were quickly cut down in waves by murderous machine gun and artillery fire from German troops who had taken cover during the earlier bombardment. Though some men made it to their objective, they were quickly forced to withdraw and were again caught under heavy fire during their retreat. By the time the battle was called off, the 5th Division alone had suffered over 5,500 casualties in the attack, which has been remembered as the worst 24 hours in Australia's military history. Among the casualties was Private Victor Backhouse, who was killed by a shell during the attack. His final resting place was never located, and today he is commemorated on the VC Corner Australian Memorial in France. Private Victor Backhouse was just 20 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Victor John Backhouse, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of our director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.